critical role. And indeed, there could not be a better rallying call for this nationwide campaign than Car Safe Mtaani. Further, the various stakeholders present demonstrate the importance of collaboration and cooperation through strong partnerships in order to improve the safety standards within the energy, electricity, LPG, and petroleum sector. The timelines of the Car Safe Mtaani campaign is underscored by the increased utilization and consumption of these products by the general public, and therefore, safety is a key concern which must be emphasized. Electricity, LPG, and petroleum products are increasingly seen as viable alternatives to mitigate the challenges arising from traditional reliance on firewood, charcoal, and kerosene, which has contributed to numerous health hazards, environmental degradation, and even death. As more Kenyans transition to LPG, electricity, and petroleum products, the goal is not only to enhance household safety, but also to contribute to a cleaner, healthier environment aligned with the country's sustainability targets. On behalf of the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, we will cooperate in ensuring that those individuals and entities who are involved in illegal criminal activities that undermine this important sector are prosecuted expeditiously. At this juncture, I would like to state that through the prosecution-guided investigation model, the ODPP, in collaboration with EPRA, is currently prosecuting individuals involved in the LPG gas explosion at Embakasi. The synergy between EPRA and ODPP is critical in ensuring the integrity of the energy, electricity, and petroleum sectors. Such initiatives underscore our resolve to instigate and deter future incidents. In addition, the ODPP has conducted joint training with EPRA, thereby building the requisite expertise and capacity for the prosecutors. I would like to emphasize that ODPP will prioritize such cases. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I hope that the resolutions from this conference will positively contribute to the consolidation of the agenda of the day and the philosophy underlying it. Let's all live by the rallying call, Car Safe Mtaani, towards safety of all wananchi. Allow me to end by expressing my best wishes for this important conference and await the conclusions and recommendations with much interest, since I'm sure they will contribute greatly to the crucial initiative dedicated to enhance safety within Kenya's LPG, electricity, and petroleum sector. Thank you so much.
These risks are not abstract. They translate into real-world consequences such as injuries, fatalities, property damage, and disruption to essential services. We cannot continue to ignore this growing challenge. You've seen some of the numbers that have been put up here by Cyprian. When you are losing 100 people on an annual basis, and this is what is reported, it is a real concern for us as an authority, and it should be a real concern for us as Kenyans. In terms of electrical accidents, as of June 2024, as I've said, these incidents have risen from 116 to 153. We have lost 98 lives, and these are those that have been reported, and we've had 61 individuals injured, alongside 16 animal deaths. These are only the ones that have been reported. In my mind, this is only the tip of the iceberg, because a lot of these incidents and accidents happen, and they are not reported. When it comes to petroleum products, we have seen a decrease, and this is a very positive story, of the accidents in petroleum tankers down to 49, which is a very positive impact and contribution. Ladies and gentlemen, the recent tragedy in Miradi that occurred in February 2024, which claimed lives, serves as a very painful reminder that we cannot continue to be complacent. Statistics indicate that low awareness levels on the perception of risk compliance and safety requirements have contributed significantly to these accidents. According to our EPRA 2024 Public Awareness Survey, over 60% of Kenyans lack sufficient knowledge on safe handling of LPG, petroleum, and electricity, leading to preventable accidents and economic loss. In response to these challenges, we are here to build a national coalition for safety that will be referred as the Coalition for Safety. This coalition aims to encourage a culture of safety in the sector and in the Republic at large through making sustainable gains through public and private sector collaboration. Today in our room, we see representatives from the public sector, both at a national level, the members of the national government and administration. We see representatives of the county government that are here with us. We see representatives from the private sector. We need a whole collaborative approach of the public sector and the private sector to ensure that this campaign is a success. We do also need to ensure that there is public responsibility and personal responsibility in order to build trust and adequately prepare for the advancements that we are seeing in our sector. This coalition built on the Car Safe Mtaani, which has 4 key pillars. First, we aim to educate consumers, businesses, communities on the regulations, best practices, and consequences of non-compliance. Second, we seek to bring together all of government agencies, industry players, civil society, and consumers to collectively promote energy safety. Third, we seek to ensure that licensees and stakeholders adhere to set regulations, thereby enhancing consumer safety and confidence in our sector. Lastly, we want to shift public perception on the risk associated with improper handling of energy projects to foster a proactive approach to safety. Ladies and gentlemen, in achieving these objectives, we do require commitment and collaboration of all our stakeholders. Us, as government agencies, working in a whole-of-government approach, will provide the necessary policy enforcement frameworks, regulatory frameworks, to ensure that energy providers and distributors ensure with the safety standards, and will also work with civil society to ensure that the grassroots advocacy and consumer engagement, and also the members of the fourth estate, will play a very crucial role in spreading awareness and enforcing key messages. We as the regulator appreciate, and even though the legal mandate of enforcing safety standards rests with us as per the provisions of the Energy Act 2019 and the Petroleum Act 2019, this conference is a realization that EPRA cannot do it alone. We require a whole of government approach on the government side, infused with the experience and the expertise of the members of the public and that of private sector, to ensure that we make this campaign a success. Ladies and gentlemen, you may ask yourself, what is in it for you as a member of the fourth estate, as a member of the public, as a member of private sector in involvement in this campaign? Your involvement in this campaign will position you as a champion for safety, reinforcing trust with your customers and within your communities. By embracing and carrying forward these safety messages, you will not only fulfill your corporate social responsibility as a citizen of the Republic of Kenya, but also create safer environments for businesses and homes alike. Through active participation, you will gain visibility and credibility as key contributors to Kenya's energy safety agenda. This is an opportunity to align with government initiatives, enhance compliance with industry standards, and benefit from the nationwide promotion of best practice. Together, ladies and gentlemen, we can ensure that energy safety is not just a policy, but a culture that is ingrained in our everyday interactions. Moreover, the campaign aligns with the recent government initiatives led by the Cabinet Secretary, including the launch of the 30,000 metric tons LPG storage facility at Dongo Kundu, Special Economic Zone in Mombasa, the initiative of another 30,000 metric ton facility being undertaken by the Kenya Petroleum Refineries Limited, which is a subsidiary of KPC, and the Wandayi gas project that seeks to distribute 300,000 subsidized cylinders at subsidized rates, as well as ensuring that every low-income household has an LPG cylinder, about 9.6 million cylinders. This is also in addition to the LPG program for schools, which is being spearheaded by our Principal Secretary for State Department of Petroleum, Dr. Mohamed Liban. As we take these steps in terms of safety, we'll ensure that we have safer and more accessible energy future for all Kenyans. We have had a lot of focus from the speaker before me and myself when it comes to safety and security in the petroleum subsector. But when it comes to safety and security of the electricity subsector as well, I'm sure our peers in energy will be speaking about that. There is a significant concern, particularly around the loss of life, around the areas around vandalism, which is constituting an economic crime. We talk about transformer vandalism, we talk about copper wire vandalism, and the vandalism of our critical infrastructure, which is, in my mind, an economic crime, which we also need to deal with this. As I brought to a close, we need to embark on this journey together. Today, we are here for a national stakeholder campaign. We have dubbed this campaign again, Car Safe Mtaani. With the conversations that will happen during this conference, we'll be able to align, as we have seen from the presentation that has gone before us, to ensure that we put together all our key messages. We are able then to align as stakeholders as this coalition of safety. We shall then, in the next coming weeks, be able to launch the campaign, pick the information that we have received from this campaign, package it, and be able then to start a dissemination campaign, which will be a campaign that will be seeking your support. Because at the end of the day, EPRA will not be able to reach every village, every home. We need the support of the National Government Administration. We need the support of academia. We need the support of private sector to be able to disseminate the information that we shall package at this workshop today. So that then we work together to ensure that we reach every home, every village, every community with one similar message, which is a coalition for safety, a culture for safety. And we shall be doing this in a language that the people understand. A lot of the times, those of us who are practitioners in the sector, the engineers, Engineer Njenga, we speak a lot of technical language. But why we are calling this Dr. Siror Car Safe Mtaani, we have to then break down the messages that will come out of this conference into a language that people understand, lugha ya mtaa. So we hope that we'll be able to align on all the messages during this workshop today, and we shall be inviting you to launch the campaign, and we are looking at a campaign that will deliver above the line and below the line, so that then we get influencers, we get captains of industry, we get leaders in community, we get the National Government Administration from the chief to the sub-chief to be able to talk to the people in the language that they understand in a very simple way, so that then we can ingrain the culture of safety. With those very many remarks, I don't get an opportunity such as this many times. It is my honor and privilege to introduce my senior, who is a constitutional office bearer, the Director of Public Prosecutions for the Republic of Kenya, to come and make his remarks. Karibu Bwana Ingonga.
Very seriously. I know I didn't follow the protocols because 1 minute is not enough to comply with the same. Yeah. So there are a number of things that we have done as Kenya Power. Last year alone, we have had 476 public safety campaigns, including public barasas, school sessions, and safety talks in places of worship. We partner a lot with all across the government, Ministry of Education, in engaging students, Ministry of Interior, Ngao, even religious institutions in this particular process, the mass media, and the result is actually, we saw, though I know this is joint, 9.3% reduction in electrocutions. Current year, we are aiming to target about 500 public safety campaigns. And of course, some of the key highlights would be issues of wayleaf encroachment, which does bring about a result and the risks that the public are exposed to. Vegetation management, matters of illegal connections. And our key safety messages for the public, we regularly address this through the media. And one of the things that we really want to, and I think this is a rallying call, is the need to use qualified professionals. I think in the process, whatever we are doing in as far as energy sector is concerned, the use of qualified professionals is very key. And maybe let me just talk about a small story, but I'm not going to give a lot of details. I was in a very critical facility last year. And of course, there was a lot of urgency, and my teams were being told, connect very quickly. This has to happen immediately. But of course, my team insisted that they needed a wiring certificate. But they were told, no, that wiring certificate is available. You just proceed with the work. And I do remember the pressure was building so high that I had to go to that site. And arriving there, I was told, you are going to be sacked. These things should have been done long time. But you are still holding on. I told them, for us, if we cannot do it safely, then we'll never do it. And of course, we followed. Very interesting. We discovered that the person even who had done the wiring was actually not qualified. He didn't have a valid certificate. So I turned to the person. In fact, I had mentioned to him that I would rather be fired but not go via committee. Because you see, you can oversee a connection And what happens next? A very serious accident. And how are you going to explain yourself that you did not follow the required protocol? No, I'm just saying it on a light note, that there are times we may assume certain things are in place until something happens and the impact is more massive than if you had waited than 1 day longer. So I think ours is really to say that we are together in this, and for us more than anybody else, the issue or matters of safety have really been quite key. So the issue, let's not encroach the way lives. The other issue, even as we call for professionals, I think there is an habit which we really need to stem, where a professional, yes, signs the certificate, but is not the one who undertook the work. Possibly he doesn't even move from his office. People just do their own things. They are just brought the certificates, the person signs. When things go wrong, then of course it results that way. And I think DG and indeed all the others, as Kenya Power, we have had a lot of instances where poor wiring in a building has resulted in electrical faults. But many other times, the public would associate any electrical fault with Kenya Power, while really the farthest that we go as a company is only up to the metering point. Beyond the metering point, and that is where most of the faults do occur, is really the work of the owner of the building. I don't want to encroach more than the 1 minute. Thank you so much, and thank you for this rallying call.
I think it goes without saying that we must support this rallying call of safety. You're aware that we are the main generators of electricity in this country. And one of our sources is really, our major source is from steam generation at very high temperatures. And even the brine or the condensed steam that goes, to in the areas where we are operating, it causes a lot of safety issues. And we want to confirm that safety is one of our key values in Kenyan. And we are supporting this initiative 100%. So whatever happens, safety starts with us, and we must support this initiative all the way. I know our plans are among communities, wherever we are. And one of the issues that comes about is how do we ensure that our power plants coexist safely with the communities around ourselves. And that is very key for us. So we are with you. DG, we will support you. If you require us to come and discuss these issues, we shall be with you. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Because of the importance of this stakeholders conference, I had to come. Even if I'll stay for a very short time, is because we are now in the budget making cycle in Parliament. We started at 7:30, but I said I must come and be part of this because I believe that you need partnership with Parliament, where the people who become victims of what we are speaking to find representation. I am with you, Minister, in our other life. If you need the support of Parliament, we are your allies. Thank you very much.
Having good wiring and wiring being done by certified people. So therefore, we need this partnership. It is a whole government approach. We need everyone on board. You know, our very good minister handles a ministry that is in every homestead. You either have electricity in your homes. If you do not have electricity, you do have LPG cylinders in your homes. If you do not have LPG cylinders, at least you have one form of energy. And so therefore, this campaign, the Car Safi Mtaani, Safe Mtaani campaign, is a very good campaign that we need everyone to be on board. It is a great honor to be part of this important conference, which seeks to enhance safety in electricity, LPG and petroleum sectors. As Kenya aspires to become a newly industrialized, middle-income country by the year 2030, these sectors are expected to play a key role in improving quality of life for Kenyans, particularly with respect to enhancing national access to clean energy for industrial processes, lighting, cooking, transportation, job creation, and generating revenue. This conference has been organized to discuss safety aspects relating to protection of citizens, environment, and economy from potentially devastating consequences of accidents and unsafe practices associated with electricity, LPG, and petroleum sectors, and hence the slogan, Car Safe Mtaani. The government has a core responsibility to ensure safety for all and has therefore mandated the Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority with regulatory oversight and audit of electricity and petroleum installations to ensure compliance with safety standards. Energy sector agencies such as KETRACO, Kenya Power, KenGen, Rural Electrification and Renewable Energy Corporation have in place safety and health practices that ensure a safe work environment for employees, contractors, and the public. In addition, these agencies in the energy sector actively engage with stakeholders to promote safety awareness and best practices. And you have heard from our CEOs from KPLC and KenGen, and specifically the CEO of KPLC, who said that this year we anticipate to have 500 public safety engagement campaigns across the country so that we can enlighten Kenyans on the need of having safe installations. Ensuring safety of electrical installation entails the prevention of injuries, fatalities, and property damage that may arise from improper electricity installations. In the electricity sector, we address illegal connections, poor maintenance, unqualified electricians, and electrical faults. We also work to enhance the reliability of power supply to reduce the risk associated with power outages and disruptions. We welcome all participants in this conference to contribute to shaping the future of safety regulations in the energy and petroleum sectors. The Car Safe Mtaani campaign has been designed to foster collaboration, strengthen partnerships, and build a coalition committed to improving safety standards in the energy and petroleum sectors. We are committed to making you our ambassadors in this campaign to ensure long-term sustainability of safety and compliance. We look forward to fruitful engagement. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to mention just 2 or 3 things. Number one, and I did mention that we are in all homes. And one of the things that is coming out clearly, we are losing about 115 lives. Those are not 2 lives, 115 lives due to electrocution. And our CEO did mention that the electrocutions, part of them are due to unsafe wiring. Our Director Regulations and Enforcement did put one of the main issues, the culture of safety. And I want to appeal to our ladies, because ladies are a little bit cautious. And I want to ask Kenyans, you are kawaya. We all have kawayas, because when you have an issue with your electricity, you call your local technician, who you call kawaya. Do you know whether your kawaya is a certified kawaya, is a certified electrician? Chances are that that person is not certified. Do you know that we have a program led by the Ministry of Education, the recognition of prior learning? And so therefore, this is a rallying call to all Kenyans. Let us embrace the recognition of prior learning. It is being spearheaded by NITA, the National Industrial Training Institute, and Kenya National Qualification Agency, where we need to ensure all our electricians, the ones who are doing our electrical installations, are all certified. And those ones who learned the job on the job and did not go to any electrical schools, these are the people that we are targeting, so that we can have the culture of safety and embracing safety. Secondly, and most important, is the issue of well-live. You know, if you touch the socket here with your bare wire, we are talking of 240 volts. You know how you feel. I believe you have maybe once in a while been electrocuted and feeling the feeling of electrocution. Then you want to put up a structure under a 220,000 volt power line. Then you expect that if 240 volts is able to electrocute you in your home, what about 220,000 volts? So therefore, and then when we come to tell you that you have encroached on our well-live, you want to tell us that we are the ones who are wrong. And chances are very high. You are I can bet 99% that you are the one who put up the structure after we had put the power line. Because we do not put power lines under, serious power lines under or above an infrastructure. So therefore, we need to reduce on our encroachment on the way we live. Lastly, is what we are seeing on our energy infrastructure. KPLC is 50.9 public. Kengen is 70% owned by government of Kenya. Ketraco is 100% owned by government of Kenya. REREC is owned 100% by government of Kenya. Who is government of Kenya? It is you and I. And so therefore, when you're on the forefront, damaging our infrastructure, you are robbing from yourself. And one of the things that we want to do, Waziri, and we are urging the Ministry of Trade and Industry to help us, we want to put a ban on export of copper and aluminium. So that, because we are not a copper or aluminium mining country, so that we can reduce the incidences of infrastructure privilege. And lastly, I am very happy to see our DPP present with us, because this is a whole government approach. When we enforce the law, we find you are vandalizing our infrastructure. You are the one who is doing illegal refilling of LPG. You are the one who is selling adulterated fuel. Once we arrest you, we deliver you to the DPP. We need now that cohesion. When now DPP takes over the case, we need now also the judiciary to come in, so that we can ensure that there is heavy penalties that will be deterrents for all these illegal activities. With those few remarks, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to welcome my colleague, my brother PS Liban, who will in that line now welcome our Cabinet Secretary to give the closing remarks. Thank you. Karibu PS. Drums.
Safety continues to be a core issue. In the petroleum sector, the safe use of petroleum and LPG products goes beyond promoting good health and environmental sustainability to encouraging growth in the economic sector and ensuring energy security. People want assurance that the products they are using will not cause harm to them, their families, or loved ones, and once they are convinced, the adoption comes to a step door closer. As you have heard from the Director General of EPRA, most of the accidents and incidents reported last year were as a result of low awareness and low perception of risk in the sectors. This has led to lower compliance for safety requirements for those who use or deal with LPG and petroleum products, a trade that should be addressed. As you are aware, ladies and gentlemen, petroleum products remain the dominant source of enabling transportation, industries, and power generation. LPG, on the other hand, is increasingly recognized as a cleaner alternative for cooking fuel, particularly in the urban and peri-urban areas. Both sectors are fast-growing, making this conference more important. The government removed VAT on imported LPG to promote increased adoption of LPG as an alternative clean cooking source, as opposed to firewood, open stoves, and the charcoal burners. EPRA's data for 2023-2024 shows that this resulted in an 8% increase in LPG consumption to slightly above 360,000 metric tons. To hasten to achieve the road to achieving 100% access to clean cooking by the year 2028, a 15 kg per capita LPG consumption by the year 2030, the government is investing in large-scale adoption of LPG reticulation in mass housing projects. As we plan for this transition, the issue of safety cannot be ignored, and this is the more reason we have to come together today to enhance safety awareness among all Kenyans. I'm aware that county governments have created new departments and fully fledged energy department to make energy services more accessible. It is our wish that we streamline and co-share knowledge and enforcement capacities to enhance safety by affirming the quality of products in the market. This should start with adherence to inspections for all facilities during the planning phase, where building plans must be presented, reviewed, and approved before any facility is put up with an occupation certificate issued upon completion. I emphasize, ladies and gentlemen, that pre-inspections of such facilities should be done by relevant regulatory agencies to affirm conformity of all safety requirements, including deployment of highly skilled personnel to operate the energy facilities at all times. The county government must be resolute with effective zoning regulations and in applications for change of land use for both petroleum and LPG facilities to ensure that we are not endangering people in residential areas. As I conclude, the importance of collaboration in ensuring safety within the counties and within our institution cannot be gainsaid. I hope that you all embrace this campaign by joining the coalition to promote safety. This will also contribute to data sharing and reporting to show the impact made on safety by all of us. I thank you all for coming and looking forward to seeing what we have achieved through the Coalition for Safety. Before I conclude, since this morning, there were 3 issues actually which came up from all the speakers. The petroleum products, the diesel, the PMS, and the kerosene. The energy sector, the electricity, generation, transmissions, and distributions, and also the LPG for domestic use and industries. These important components are critical to us because it is an enabler to the economy. It assists us, it assists the country. But if the safety and security is not assured, then the magnitude is very huge. And I think the EPRA has given us, the scenario for the last 2-3 years. So it is up to us, because this is a collective responsibility. It doesn't stay only, on EPRA. It is supposed to be each one of us, the policymakers, the users, the industries, to make sure that our people, our property are safe. In conclusion, last year, I and my peers and my colleague Alex and DG EPRA appeared before National Security Council based on what we are actually dealing with. That why do we have always blackout? Because there's a bit of vandalism. Why do we have fire in those urban areas from LPG, from fuel? It's because of our own negligences. So we looked at the capacity of EPRA, and from that, at least the capacity of EPRA has been enhanced. All the issues that make them not, to perform has been dealt with. And I think now we are on the right course to have a Marshall Plan like this, so that we'll be able to trickle down to the peripheral area to make sure that we are safe, our people are safe, Kenya is safe, our investors are also safe. With all due effort, I take this opportunity to invite our chief guest, the Cabinet Secretary, the Minister of Energy and Petroleum, for his remarks. Please stand up for him as we welcome him.
Petroleum Regulatory Authority, that is EPRA, is spearheading this Car Safe Mtaani campaign on our behalf. And this is an initiative that prioritizes safety, awareness, and the well-being of all energy consumers in Kenya. This campaign comes at a most timely moment, in my view, in our country's energy and petroleum journey, where investments are being made to ensure that every citizen has access to affordable and reliable energy. In other words, as we race towards the attainment of our objective of universal access to energy by the year 2030, we must be conscious of matters safety. I therefore must take this early opportunity to extend gratitude to EPRA for their unwavering commitment to public safety through continuous public education and the formulation of regulations that cement gains in promoting the safe use of energy products. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the projects we are seeing across the electricity, LPG, and petroleum spaces are not only designed to increase access to sustainable energy and petroleum, but also to raise the urgent need for safety in the sector. In the electricity subsector, for instance, the government continues to expand the national grid and increase electricity access through the last mile connectivity program, which is being spearheaded quite ably by REREC and KPLC, where thousands of underserved citizens are being targeted. And hence, for some people, this provides them with the opportunity for the first time to interact with issues that come with electrical safety. While this may seem insignificant to you and perhaps those of us who have relative knowledge on safe use of electricity, it may not be the same for everybody else. Besides the last mile connectivity program, we are also fast-tracking the Kenya Off-Grid Solar Access Project, famously referred to as or known as COSAP, particularly in those historically marginalized counties or regions of our country. This means, therefore, that citizens who are the beneficiaries or who will be beneficiaries will also need to be educated on how to safely install and use solar to power themselves. They'll also need to be taught or to be made aware of their rights as consumers to ensure that they buy products that are of the right standards and that they take up certified services when making installations and repairs. Coming back to the LPG sector, we will continue to see projected growth as government pushes for the uptake of clean cooking solutions, guided by the National LPG Growth Strategy that was approved by the Cabinet about 2 years ago. And this strategy focuses on establishing more LPG filling plants and ensuring equitable distribution of the same, of the LPG gas. We will need to have safety embedded throughout the value chain to avoid unfortunate incidents and accidents as have been reported in the recent past. The government is also piloting LPG for schools. Actually, the piloting phase is now over, which upon full implementation will see large capacity LPG bullets installed in schools for use to minimize our reliance on firewood. And this will promote a cleaner and more environmentally friendly cooking process. In residential areas, pilot projects are ongoing to reticulate LPG into buildings, especially in our affordable housing program, which will make the use of gas for cooking more convenient and safer. On petroleum, we are continuing to upgrade the infrastructure through the Kenya Pipeline Company and other state agencies to ensure a steady, safe, and efficient supply chain from all the way from the importation up to the retail. Enforcement of standards and regular audits of facilities remain a top priority to safeguard consumers and the environment. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's also worth noting that we now have emerging energy subsectors that will require us to think through how safety will be implemented. And this is a challenge I want to pose to EPRA. So as a regulator, I urge you to work closely with the stakeholders present to develop forward-looking standards and regulations that govern how these sectors embed safety in their operations from the outset. One such novel area is e-mobility, which is quickly gaining traction in Kenya. As electric vehicles and charging infrastructure become more prevalent, we must proactively address issues around battery safety, charging standards, and the safe integration of EVs into our grid. Another critical area is green hydrogen, a promising solution for clean energy that comes with unique handling, storage, and production risks. The development of this subsector must be guided by robust safety protocols that align with the global best practices, but also reflect our local realities. We must also consider bioenergy solutions. Just like last week, we were in a conference on cogeneration and bioethanol production in Kisumu. These solutions, of course, include the use of biogas and bioethanol, as I've said, which are gaining momentum as alternatives to traditional fuels. These technologies hold great potential for both households and industrial use, but they demand new safety considerations in storage, usage, and emissions. As we embrace innovation and new technologies, safety must remain a constant pillar. Ladies and gentlemen, the Car Safety Mtaani campaign aligns perfectly with these ongoing efforts. Even as we increase access, we must not lose sight of the risks that come with handling energy products. Unsafe use of electricity, illegal LPG refilling, petroleum leaks, and non-compliant infrastructure remain key challenges that we must collectively address. And I want to thank the DPP, Brother Ingonga, for the swift action you have been able to take whenever people have found to be floating rules and regulations and laws. We shall continue to work closely with the DPP's office and other relevant government agencies to deal with this menace and to stamp out this impunity of people illegally and irregularly engaging in business practices that endanger the lives of our people. I've just discussed with the DG IPRA that even as the DPP prosecutes these characters, IPRA must move swiftly and revoke their licenses. Revoke totally, so that it serves as a lesson to the rest of the citizens who may want to engage in similar malpractices. We owe it to ourselves and to the people of this country, as a sector and as a ministry, that business dealings especially on these matters that have got serious safety connotations, are done in secure and safe environments and manner. And going forward, we've agreed with EPRA that they will be very ruthless in applying the law. Because the law, as it is currently, empowers EPRA, yes, to deal with these cases conclusively, without regard to whether the person is known to who, the person comes from where, the person is loaded to what extent, because they keep on using illegally acquired monies to frustrate efforts to regulate this sector. So we are putting them on notice. And we must thank our national government officers, Ngao, for remaining steadfast and helping us deal with these cases. So we shall continue to partner with you and the Kenya Police Service. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm happy to note that a multi-sector coalition will be formed today. This is what we need to drive lasting change. Because we can't do it in isolation. We can't do it in silos. Through this platform, I urge all stakeholders to join hands in creating a culture of safety in our homes, schools, marketplaces, and transport systems. Let us ensure that Kenyans not only have access to energy, but also understand how to use it safely and responsibly. In conclusion, I want to assure you of continued commitment to policies and programs that enhance access, affordability, and safety of energy for all. We will support the car safety of the Car Safe Mtaani, the Car Safe Mtaani campaign, as a national movement to make our communities safer and better informed. So together, let us power Kenya with care. Thank you, and God bless you. Asanteni sana.
Yes, a Car Safe Mtaani is not a new concept. It is something that the regulator is doing at the second time of asking. We had Car Safe Mtaani 1, and this is Car Safe Mtaani, as I'd call it, version 2.0. The mandate of the Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority is quite wide, but today we are here specifically to speak to our mandate of public education, advocacy, consumer protection, and enforcement. As part of that mandate, we are required to ensure that we keep the public, the industry stakeholders on the straight and narrow, but more importantly, for us to be able to educate the public, because we as the regulator, as has been said before, we don't have the resources to be in every village, every home, every office when it comes to enforcing the provisions of the law, which is the Energy Act 2019 and the Petroleum Act 2019. So what we're looking to do is to, as we've said, build a coalition of the willing, build a coalition for safety by bringing together a whole of country approach. You always hear of a whole of government approach where government agencies are working together, because some of the challenges is that you have government entities working in silos. But today we don't want only to bring government entities, we want to bring civil society, we want to bring private sector, we want to bring the community, so that then all of us as a country, we can come together to ensure that we are able to keep Kenyans safe as we utilize energy and petroleum products. Today we are here to sign a commitment or to launch Car Safe Mtaani version 2.0. We are today here to have a national workshop, bringing together all the stakeholders to put together what are the issues, what are the challenges, what are the proposed solutions, what is the information that we need to disseminate. When we're able to bring all this together, then in another 2 weeks, we shall be calling the country again to then launch the campaign. One important thing that we are doing is to be able to align all our stakeholders towards the common goal of ensuring that Kenyans are safe as we do business, as we utilize these energy products, that Kenyans are safe. The big challenge has been information dissemination. A lot of Kenyans, as has been said before, lack the understanding on the do's and the don'ts. What we want is to be able to disseminate that information so that then EPRA is not only wielding the stick, but in enforcement, but ensuring that we're able to educate the populace, educate the country on safety, what they should do, what they should not do, when they see a malpractice, where they should report, how to address those issues.
And how does this marry into the national energy policy, of which right now I think is in the public participation phase? But safety, how does it marry to a national energy policy?
Well, in terms of the national energy policy, which is now under review, there was a national energy policy in 2015. This is currently being reviewed to align it to the provisions of the Energy Act 2019 and the Petroleum Act 2019, because you recognize that the policy of 2015 came before the legislation, and the legislation came with certain amendments that were not there in the Energy Act of 2006. So what is currently ongoing is a review of the policy to align it with the two legislation. When you speak to the policy and what is the nexus between safety and policy and uptake, is that when the product is not safe, then you have the public shying away from utilization of that commodity. A lot of the times when you go to the informal settlements, people will tell you that they don't want to utilize gas because it's prone to explosion, it is prone to fire, but they don't understand that there's a safe utilization of LPG. So by us educating the public, one, we are preventing injury, two, we are preventing death, and we're increasing uptake of this cleaner and greener products, energy products in the market.
Lastly for me, safety also in some way marries and comes close to affordability. And as part of the ongoing reviews that we're seeing in the energy sector, there is a review at play that potentially will see fuel prices go a little bit higher by 7 shillings. Talk to us about that and whether that jump will be exponential, phased, in regards to affordability.
Yeah, I think I spoke to that yesterday during the stakeholder engagement we had with the media. But before that, in terms of affordability, when these goods are safe and when we increase uptake, because one of the big issues in our country, and particularly in sub-Saharan Africa, is an issue of energy poverty. If you look at the per capita consumption per person of energy in Kenya or in sub-Saharan Africa as compared to the global north, we are energy poor. So really, when you have safety, you have awareness, you are able then to increase the uptake, so that then, because energy is the driver of the economy, when you have access to energy, you're able to do more things as a person and eventually improve the economy. So really, the first question should not be an issue of affordability, it should be an issue of access. Then we come to the issue of affordability. On the question that you've asked around the review, what we've called the cost of service study, which the law requires us to do every 5 years, we undertake it both for electricity and for petroleum. So we've undertaken a study, we have done it for the last 14 months, we have consulted far and wide, we've involved all our stakeholders, including the public, including the executive. But as we go to implement it, we will ensure that we implement it, it should not have an impact to increase the cost of the product itself. But it is really important for us to be able to make those adjustments so that then we reflect the realities of the pricing in the entire value chain. The last review was in 2018. Some segments, for instance, the transport segment, has not seen a review from 2010. So you should ask yourself, what is the price of diesel? Because when you're transporting diesel from point A to point B, and the last price was in 2010, you're now speaking at the price being almost 3x. And we are hurting businesses that are delivering product to ourselves as a population and to the economy. So if they then, that value chain of transportation breaks down, that means then we don't have access to the product. So it's important we balance the interest, and that's why we as the regulator are mandated by the law to balance the interests of investors, balance the interests of consumers, and balance the interests of government. This is the executive and also the legislature that puts together the laws that we are then required to then implement. So it's really striking that balance to ensure that we have the access and to ensure that we have a tariff that is just and reasonable, that ensures that those entities in the value chain maintain financial integrity. So it's a real balance. But even as we implement this, we are cognizant of the public, and we will be ensuring that even as we implement in phases, because it will be a phased and gradual approach, that we don't impact the prices negatively. Thank you.
One question from me. The CS previously
Well, I think the first thing is, as you've seen today, is that there is a coalition already being built. And the coalition is not only with EPRA, and there's an appreciation that EPRA cannot do it all. We need a whole of society approach, not only a whole of government approach. But to your question in terms of how do we deal with this, as I've said earlier on, the Energy Act 2019 and the Petroleum Act 2019 has very stiff penalties. I keep saying that other than probably the Sexual Offences Act in this country, it is the only legislation that prescribes minimum fines and penalties. But again, because we are a country governed by the rule of law, we have to follow due process. When we undertake an administrative action to either suspend or revoke a license, we must undertake it in accordance with the Fair Administrative Action Act. We have to ask you to show cause why we should not either suspend or revoke your license and take you through a due process. Ultimately, if then you're involved in a malpractice, we then have to work with the competent authorities. We do have a very good collaboration with the Office of Director of Public Prosecutions and also with the National Police Service, so that then we're able then to take you to a competent court to be able then to adjudicate the matter, and we're able then to prosecute you. But again, because we are governed as a country of rule of law, we have to take you through the process. And that is why this campaign is very important, that we bring the regulator, EPRA, who's mandated in the law to enforce, work with the state agencies that have the tools of the state, that's the National Police Service, and also work with the Director of Public Prosecutions, who was present with us today here, and who we work very closely with to ensure that they're able to run the whole hog, to ensure that we actually get prosecutions. And again, the judiciary, and we are working also collaboratively with the judiciary, so that then they can have an appreciation of the provisions of the Energy Act and Petroleum Act 2019, also have an appreciation of the technical nuances of the energy and petroleum sectors, but more importantly, to understand the economic loss that an individual or an organization can cause to the economy if we allow them to then do what they're doing illegally.
Do you maybe perhaps on your desk have a number of some of these people you're targeting, or have you even mapped out the country or the region on this kind of...
Yes, we have mapped out, and I think that, again, you know, when you're talking to matters enforcement and matters security, I don't think it's proper to give you the numbers, but yes, we've mapped out the country. There are some areas that are hotspots that continue to recur, as you know, even as you drive on the A104 from Mombasa all the way to Malaba and to Busia. You all know where we call them shambas are, where the truck drivers are stopping and the siphoning of product. It is known to the public, and that's why we want to then partner with the public for them to inform us, but also for them to be able to ensure, because a lot of those activities are being conducted by their business partners, by their relatives, their friends, their cousins. If they appreciate the challenges when it comes to health and safety with these illegal activities, then it is not only EPRA or the state security agencies that will be enforcing against them, but also the community will come together to ask those people to stop those unscrupulous businesses.
So should you say probably major highways?
No, it's all over. It's all over the country. It's all over the country. So it's really not only on one, because that's one aspect of illegal or siphoning of petroleum products. We have illegal LPG. We have vandalism. As the PS was speaking about export of copper and aluminium, yet we are not a mining country. So all those is vandalism of critical infrastructure that is sabotaging the economy.
I don't know if you are aware of what happened to the immigrant policy that is supposed to be. You advocate about
yes.
What happened to the policy? Is it stuck somewhere?
No. It is work in progress. We are the tip of the spear as a regulator. We did in March of 2023 approve the e-mobility tariff, which is a subsidized tariff of 16 shillings per kilowatt hour peak and 8 shillings per kilowatt hour off peak. The government has done its part to introduce tax incentives rather, for e-vehicles, for two-wheelers and three-wheelers, for batteries, and that's why you're seeing a lot of uptake of two- and three-wheelers and vehicles coming into the market. So in terms of facilitation, we're already facilitating that, but working collaboratively as the regulator with the Ministry of Energy and Petroleum and also with the Ministry of Transport and Infrastructure is to work on this policy. The policy on mobility is being driven by the Ministry of Transport and Infrastructure, the NTSA, and we are working collaboratively because we provide the fuel. Today, when you import a vehicle, whether it's an ICE car, a combustion engine vehicle, you would go to NTSA to be licensed. You would not come to EPRA to be licensed. Our bit is the fuel bit. So whether it is fossil fuel or it is a kilowatt, it is regulated by us. But we're working in a whole of government approach so that then the Ministry of Transport and Infrastructure works together with the Ministry of Energy and Petroleum and us as a regulator to be able to advance this policy. It's not new, as I said. This is version 2.0. We had the first campaign the year before last, and we're now continuing with the journey. Because a lot of times you don't want to run a campaign back to back. You want to come up with a concept, be able to develop the terms of reference, be able then to implement, get feedback, see what has worked, what has not worked, then repurpose, retool, and then do it again.
The second question is the way-live tiff between counties and KPLC, which is exposing consumers to higher power bills. What is your means to doing about it? And finally, is your means to doing anything to speed up the lifting of IPPs?
You know, today I'd rather we focus on the matter of car safe Mtaani. Yeah, and as you have seen for yourselves, we have essentially launched this very, very ambitious program, this campaign that is being spearheaded by IPRA, but with support of the entire ministry and its entities. We are hopeful that this campaign is going to help us address the issue of safety in the entire supply chain for LPG and petroleum and electricity. That is basically why we are here today. And we are confident that from here going forward, a lot of change will be evident. I have said, and you heard it clearly, giving or putting those unscrupulous business persons, the dealers who are used to illegalities and engaging in irregular activities, that their days are now numbered. Because the law is on our side and the resolve is now stronger. That going forward we shall be dealing with such cases of malpractices, of irregularities, of illegalities, very ruthlessly, but in accordance with the law. And EPRA is more than equal to the task. Okay? So the matter of the IPPs is a matter that is, of course, under consideration very actively by Parliament. And we are hopeful that Parliament, in its wisdom, is going to provide a solution in the fullness of time. So thank you very much. If I may ask you.
But more importantly, on behalf of the chairman of the Committee on Energy in the Senate, Dr. Odinga, we want to demonstrate our commitment to safety as a measure that will make the future of energy more acceptable to the people of Kenya, especially in the rural areas where people do not know technical issues like who is qualified, who is competent, and so on and so forth. So I thank you, Minister, and I hope that, as we have told you earlier, that you will take advantage of our commitment as the Senate to make your task successful. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, guys. Asanteni.
Well, I don't think that's correct. The issue of no uptake of LPG is price, because government has introduced incentives. If you look at our energy and statistics report of last year and the year before, we can see an increase in LPG. I saw one of the journalists write an article that despite the price, you've seen an increase in uptake of LPG. I think the question here is not on price. It's an issue of access and affordability. Do you have the cylinder? Because the cylinder can be the barrier to entry. It's not the issue of the gas and the ability to pay as you go. So it's really not an issue of a barrier to entry on the price. But the government, as I've said, is looking at implementing the LPG growth strategy that involves putting LPG into the open tender system of procurement so that we can benefit from economies of scale through procurement. Also, the introduction of infrastructure, primary infrastructure at import level, and introducing incentives for private sector to then implement the LPG growth strategy, providing cylinders in homes and also into schools. So really it's not an issue of pricing, but we need to be able as a regulator to ensure that we encourage uptake.